Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome whoever you are, whenever you are, wherever you are. I am Yve Marie and this is Soul Podcast, aka SOL, aka Student of Life. Welcome back, my fellow students. Let's get started on Season 3, Episode 1. Now, the topic for today is the time is now. Perfect timing doesn't exist, and neither does the perfect plan. Do what you can now. Sometimes we spend so much time trying to create the perfect plan or waiting for the right time that we're actually inhibiting ourselves from moving forward towards our goals and the life that we actually want to live. So let's think about this. Perfect timing doesn't exist. Perfect timing doesn't exist. A very common excuse that we use that stops us from moving forward on our goals is, it's not the right time. Another day. I'll try again tomorrow. It's true. Life does not stop for anybody. And there's always going to be something happening or something else to take care of outside of your goals or your dreams. The thing that we need to take into account is the fact that if there's something that we really want to see in our lives, we have to take action. And sometimes that means making space so this thing can exist in our lives. Sometimes this means making necessary adjustments regardless of what those adjustments are. It could be literal time, whether that's your work schedule, life schedule, making space for something in that way. It could be budgeting. It could actually be literal space. Maybe you need to get rid of things or store some things, give some things away. Regardless of what it is, you must make the space for something to exist instead of just waiting for things to align. Now, the other side of this is the perfect plan. The perfect plan does not exist. The perfect plan does not exist. The stage of gathering information and getting all the little pieces and its ingredients that we need, all the details, and trying to align those, it's important. It is so important when it comes to doing almost anything effectively, especially if you're new to this, to anything. However, it is so important to keep in mind that there are so many ways to accomplish doing any one thing. I'm going to say this again. There are so many ways that you can get one thing done. So, if you feel like you are stuck at the planning phase, you make a plan, it looks perfect, you go back, you revise. You make the plan, it looks perfect, you go back and revise. If you have never gotten to the point of actually executing, that is where your bottleneck is. Execute. Sometimes the only way to know the best way for you to get something done is to start doing it. You will never know if you don't actually start. There's only so far that you can get by creating the perfect plan. The wisdom, however, wisdom is only gained from experience. You can have so much knowledge and you can do your best to apply that knowledge. But how do you apply the knowledge? Knowledge is applied through wisdom. Once you use that knowledge, it turns into wisdom. However, once you try to apply a knowledge and you apply that knowledge to an aspect in the wrong way, you have gained wisdom. You have gained understanding. And the wisdom gained from experience of doing is how you can truly perfect the plan itself. And the only way to do that is to start. So, why time? Why are we talking about time today? Well, time is one of the most valuable assets that we have in our existence and most often taken for granted. What we've been talking about today is the fact that we can spend so much time trying to perfect a plan and waiting on the right time to make something happen, that we're literally allowing time to pass us by. And we are just holding ourselves back. More often than not, we are holding ourselves back from getting closer to what we want to achieve. Or we are literally stopping ourselves from obtaining that altogether. So what I'm saying is, you can be delaying yourself, but sometimes there are some opportunities that don't come back around again. So you have to take that shot. So what do we do with it? What do we do with it? So what are we doing with this information? How do we apply this? Do what you can now. In any given moment, ask yourself, which we talked about in season 2, you must ask yourself, what time is it? What is the most important part of what I'm experiencing right now? What is the most important thing that I need to accomplish right now? And do that thing. What can I do right now? That is what you must ask yourself. And on the flip side, when it is not you asking yourself, sometimes it's an inspired action. Sometimes your intuition could be speaking to you, and we are just not paying attention. Inspired action is when you feel, most often than not you feel, but it's an idea. You get an idea to do a specific thing, and instead of putting it off, do that thing then. And then usually it snowballs into something else. Sometimes that inspired action is leading you to put the work into something that could grow into something amazing, or that inspired action is preparing you for something else, but you won't know until you start. So again, perfect timing doesn't exist, and neither does a perfect plan. The perfect time is now. So, sadly guys, or happily, whichever we choose to call it today, I have a lot of stories about things that I did not try for various reasons, but things that I didn't do because I was waiting for the plan to perfect itself. I was waiting for the right time, and the right time never came. For the longest time, I spoke about wanting to be a one-stop shop. I wanted to be a one-stop shop for someone. I wanted to help them with their mind, their body, their spirit. I wanted to help them work out. I wanted to work on what they were putting on in their bodies, in their minds, how they operated in the world. I wanted to select a few people and do this for these few people. And things happened, and I just said, oh, the perfect time, the perfect time, the perfect time. Until I realized that I had spoken about my goals, yes. And I saw people around me taking pieces of what I said I was going to do. And I saw them do that, and I was like, oh, okay, then, well, I don't want to do just that piece. I'm going to wait till I can bring the whole thing together. And then it never came around. And then time passed by, and I realized I didn't want my identity tied to a movement, tied to a brand, or tied to anybody else. And so I didn't. And now I'm at a point in my life where I'm realizing these thoughts of what I really wanted are coming back up. And ultimately, I became that one-stop shop for myself. And I learned to do these things for myself. And I realized that I don't have to do things all in one perfect way. I decided that I am going to do this. This is how Soul started. I felt led to give the advice that I had been holding within myself because I was afraid for a long time of criticism. I was afraid for a long time of the way that I viewed myself, which is scarier if you think about it. It's scarier to change your own perspective of yourself than it is to really think about how anyone else views you. And I waited until it finally came, and I felt a pang in my heart, like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. So instead of seeking out a client, instead of seeking out the right nutrition or the right personal training program, instead of doing this, I learned slowly but surely a lot of things about the body, about how the body operated. When I had decided to become a life coach, I had already been researching and helping people with their nutrition. And this was years ago, almost 10 years ago. And now here I am giving the life advice. It's really interesting because things will snowball. but I had to take inspired action, and I hope that you do too.